All right, welcome back to Two Song Podcast. This is Chris.
And this is Cam.
And this is a show where we try and sort every song ever into one of two categories. Either a love song
or a fight song.
Yeah, exactly right. And this is episode 132 of our show.
Yeah, it is. And that not so musical intro that you just heard is for one of the best songs, I think, on Burnham's Inside from 2021.
Mm-hmm. That funny feeling.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. Yeah. Happy New Year's, and hope everybody had a Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah or any of the other ones or none of them. But I don't know why, but this song makes me think of this time of year.
Yeah, like specifically New Year's or between Christmas and New Year's, first of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. It definitely does for me too.
And it came out, this whole album and special and everything came out in June of 2021, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out why there's a connection, but there definitely is. I think we'll get into it.
Yeah.
Eventually.
This reminds me of the Hanukkah song, though. Like that intro, are those lyrics? Is that just
right.
like a preamble to the song, like a pre-intro?
Yeah. Who's to say?
Yeah, I know it's tricky. But he does give a little disclaimer, then he starts playing. And we talked about this when the special and album were new. This is one of his, to me, better performances vocally. And because to me, he's a pretty good singer. He kind of sings like a theater kid or a kid that took piano lessons for years and then learned to sing, just to go with the piano. But just being a fan pretty much his whole career, this is also one of the most tame and guitar focused performances ever. He used to be he just had his own style of playing guitar, and to me this, I don't know, it reminds me a lot of John Denver or James Taylor or something.
Cool.
And yeah, I like it. I mean, there are some parts where it's well, he's maybe obviously not a guitar player more than any other instrument, but I mean, it still sounds good.
Yeah, so it's, it seems kind of ironic for him to put that up front because he does such an awesome performance on both. But he really might not think he's anything special on either. I'm sure he thinks of himself as a comic first, funny person.
Yeah, oh yeah, I think so. Wow, that's crazy. Man, well, I like this song. To me, it's weird, what we're about to hear is the first verse, and then later there are verses that seems like are two verses, they just roll together, and there's another two verses just rolled together. So I don't know if this is a half verse or if it is a first verse and 2 and 3 are just grouped together. But like anything with Bo Burnham, the prose, because it's not all lyrics, is what you come for, and it makes you think, and you listen to it and you relate to it, or you one thing he loves to do is make you think you're going to relate to it, and then surprise, it's absurd.
Yeah.
And nonsense. Just so fun and enjoyable. And we've done another Bo Burnham song off of this album in the special.
Welcome to the Internet.
Yeah. Or as I like to call it, Because of the Internet. But it really is Welcome to the Internet. But I don't know, those two, honestly, I don't know how they're linked. Just the internet, I guess. That's not a good enough link. But I'll get them confused. But yeah, should we jump in and hear this first verse?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Man,
I know his voice is sweeter and smoother than usual, and less theatrical.
Yeah, almost like he realized for a song like this, it was appropriate to be a folk singer or near a folk singer.
Yeah, certainly. Or that's kind of what he's even parodying. That's a hard word to say.
He
to a degree.
He does a similar thing with pandering. It seems like in a country accent.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I wonder about this song. I think about it a lot because I just like it so much. I like how simple it is, and I like how sparse it is, that nothing's really that connected. And I like to think about the ways that as a songwriter it is connected to him. How did he get where he to the finished product? And I think the thing that I like about the first verse and the thing I've convinced myself of is that those are things that give him the funny feeling. This first verse,
cool.
is just setting the scene for the whole song, giving us the tone of the song, musically and thematically. Like, you know, like some people openly don't like Ryan Reynolds or don't think he's funny, or some people think that Deadpool is like so pure and so good and doesn't even mess with in the comic books. Don't make him into the movies. Don't make Deadpool merch and stuff. Like, you're missing the point or whatever. And a very similar thing to like a meditation app being in the highest resolution available. It's like I could just see, again, being a fan and following his career, that these are things that he just goes, I don't know why, but this little list of things gives me the same feeling.
Yeah, man, I think you're right, and they're all over the place too. So it's really cool that they're could be connected in that way. And also, I hadn't thought of stunning 8K resolution and meditation app as one thing. I thought they were two separate items on this list. And that just kind of thinking about how, like, at a certain point, our human eyes can't even really distinguish between how small the pixels are, how many pixels there are in each little inch of the TV, or like the frame rate. Like, our eyes can't even really keep up with monitors at some point. And so just stunning 8K resolution by itself is kind of absurd, and just kind of being marketed when maybe it shouldn't be, or you know, pushed for no reason.
Yeah.
And then I think meditation app kind of is too in itself, like this like weird idea, like counterintuitive. Because Bo has talked a lot about like how he thinks the way that we're doing things attributes to like mental health, and so I definitely like look at these lyrics through his lens and could see just like a meditation app being ironic, that like, hey, we made this app to fix you and all your problems.
Yeah. Please
pay us this much a month.
Yeah, because the purpose of the phone now, the cell phone, the mobile phone, is so you're always with your phone. You know, like, you used to bolt the phone to the wall. Now you're lame, and you're like probably a serial killer if you haven't got a smartphone and like a smart, like, you know, wearable phone. It's like, what? And so I kind of agree with that. That like, you need to meditate and put your phone away and not look at your phone. Well, how do I do that? Step one, log into the app.
Have a phone.
Yeah.
Pay for internet.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Yeah, he goes really hard on this special, specifically about the internet and smartphones and cell phones and blue light and stuff. And I think I agree with him, but I also think it's more complicated than that. I think that we were already that way. The phones and the internet 2 and internet 3, web 3, whatever, just amplify it. They just make it easier, and they make it like, well, everyone else is doing it, why can't we?
Yeah, certainly. I think people have always had most of the same problems that we currently have.
Yeah. Well, we've alluded to it and set up pretty nicely. Should we get to the chorus?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's cool. I like how delicate the chorus is, and how, like you said, his voice is less theatrical and more sweet. It's like a familiarity with this discomfort.
Well,
you know, like some people don't trust happiness and don't trust a good time or a good day or a healthy relationship. They're like, I just know there's a catch, or I just know that, you know, whatever. And I think it's funny to, and it's Bo Burnham, so you need to, in my opinion, look at it with like, where's the funny, or when's the funny coming?
Yeah.
But it's funny to me to play guitar this way and have the campfire crackling in the background, and then list these things that like kind of take you out of the song, because there's such real images, there's such touchstone images, and then come the chorus, it's like, well, thought I was understanding, and now you're like talking about a feeling, but you like having that feeling, you know?
Yeah, like that's what this song is about. So sweetly written.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's this weird like paradox of feelings that he's like conveying in this like you said, familiar discomfort, I guess.
Yeah.
Which I think most people, a lot of people, got just like way too close to or way too familiar with, and because of COVID and from having to like stay at home, away from everyone.
Yeah, and got used to being like cramped or, you know, I mean, the concept behind this album was essentially that he lived this album, like he didn't leave the room really, right. That he made it in and recorded it in. And obviously there's some editing. I'm not trying to say it's like some kind of art film where a man was locked in a room for 180 days or whatever, like couldn't leave, but you get that feeling, and you get like a claustrophobic feeling, and you get a bit of like a worry. You're like, gosh, but a lot of that is contrived. A lot of that is staged.
Yeah. And
I think a part of his brilliance is you think you know which parts are, but you never can. You can't tell.
Right.
So yeah, I think you're right. Like he was saying, I don't know, kind of maybe what we already said, but it bears repeating, that you had this feeling and you're discomforted by it. Now you have another feeling, you're discomforted by it. You know, like you're worried about what's going on right now, this 6 months, this year, this season, but I'm trying to zoom out and say we should all be uncomfortable with where things are headed, where our culture is decaying, which is like, dang, all right now, will you relax? You know?
Yeah.
Do the one about country music, or do something like that. That's heavy, man. That's too much.
Right. Man. Yeah, so he's doing a lot with these like very, it's hard to describe these lists, but these very like accurate representations of where our culture is headed. To say it in way too many words.
Yeah.
But then we get a double chorus of them, I guess. You want to hear
double verse?
Double verse, yes.
Yeah.
Let's hear that. Yeah.
I like this one because we're just interpreting these, we don't know, no one knows really, but I like to think of, if this is a double verse, the first verse or the first half verse being things that are like politically driven, and things that the person holding them up or pushing them out knows is going to anger people. Like all of those things so far in, like I said, the first verse, the first half verse, let's just call it verse 3, and all the things in verse 3 to me are like, you can kind of see like one side to them, and anything that is one-sided therefore is like a springboard for being two-sided. I know that's that's stupid to, like, that may be obvious to say, but if you say I'm all about this, then politically opposed people go, see, they're all about that, which means they're not about these things. It's ridiculous. But and then I think that maybe verse 4 is things that, this is just me, but maybe things that we all go, it doesn't really matter who you are, we're all sick of pretending we like these things. We're all absolutely fed up with it, but we don't say it.
Yeah, it's so cool that you've like categorized each of these verses, like you said, trying to figure out how he wrote each one.
Thank you. Just guessing.
And I think I've heard Bo talk about like late night television and how absurd it is to just like watch the people that we already watch in movies just like doing silly things.
Yeah.
Kind of him being like, really, y'all, this is entertainment? Like, this is what y'all want?
Yeah, he ripped that lip sync battle. Is that what?
Yeah.
He was like, it's the same celebrities we already see too much of. not even singing the same songs we've already heard too many times. He's like, and it's always a pretty white girl. Oh, guess what she's gonna do? Gangster rap. And it's always some big tough movie star hunk doing like a pop princess song. So it's the most predictable, absurd, insulting. Like I guess I'm putting words in his mouth, but he just said things to that nature. Like, you know, you think so little of us that you're like, here, idiots, here, dummies, look at this.
Right. Yeah, and then carpool karaoke, I feel is really similar to that. Like, let's see, what do regular people do? Drive around in their cars. Let's have these not regular people do regular people stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oof. One of my favorite comedians, it's not Bo Burnham, though he makes the list, said that he said a similar thing. I don't know if he listens to Bo Burnham or is a fan, but he was like, it's all the same stuff. Like Jimmy Fallon and Post Malone will go to Olive Garden. What's the joke? That it's good? Or they'll take Cardi B somewhere and try to teach her how to read. He's like, you know, he's like, I mean, you turn on the show and Jimmy Fallon's getting a pie in the face from the Muppets. What's going on?
Yeah, seriously.
Oh well. But to me, thinking about, you know, like the way our government's so involved in our health, but not really, you know? It's like the Surgeon General's like, don't do this, please. But like, if you have to, because we don't want to bring this up, we got to raise taxes on it. We got to make more money off it, but don't do it. But if you do, pay us. And then, you know, I don't know what he has against Disney, but the CEO of Disney just hates that guy or doesn't like his face. You know, communist and propagandist selling crap on Etsy. Just so interesting to me that it's like all this stuff we could do without, and it's just outraging people. Like in the conclusion, to me, female Colonel Sanders, easy answer, Civil War. It's so funny that he's making fun of everyone in one lyric. Like, you can see why people are outraged because people are stupid. And Colonel Sanders is stupid. Not the man, but the mascot. He wasn't a real colonel. I don't think KFC even stands for Kentucky Fried Chicken anymore. It's just like wild. And I don't think he even was from Kentucky. Like, there's so many things. Somebody gonna, yeah, he was. You should kill yourself, obviously. But whatever. So it's just so funny to me that he's like, guess what? Another Civil War, because why not? Reba's Colonel Sanders. What do you think?
Yeah, and to put that in with all this, like you said, all this stuff that is so like that divisive and
good word.
Also kind of pointless.
yeah. Thank you. Those are the two things I was trying to get to. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Why do we have a Surgeon General? And why do they always say, hey, do this or don't do this? I said to a coworker and a friend of mine one time, like, the government doesn't actually care if we wear our seatbelts. And by the way, I don't know that they should, but I just mean that you know how people who have a drinking problem, how they have to start their car with the little thing you blow into. If the government really cared, and I don't want this, but we wouldn't be able to start our cars until we clicked, until you buckled. So I'm like, the government just picks and chooses willy-nilly all these things that they obsess over, and a lot of it, who asked for it? No one needs it. So yeah, I like that you said they're divisive yet pointless.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. But how about the things in World Clone verse 4? Just so, I mean, that verse makes me laugh almost every time. The live-action Lion King, and then the Pepsi halftime show.
I know.
Oh gosh.
Oh, I did like the live-action Lion King though.
Oh well. I apologize. But then, how about those three things that all have the exact same like cadence and carpool karaoke, Steve Aoki, Logan Paul, so good. I think Logan Paul is. I was thinking about this while we were playing that verse. If you could take Guy Fieri and not John Krasinski, but specifically Jim Halpert from The Office, and stir them into two people, like the impulsive episodes I've watched, he'll like say something zany and look directly into the camera and be like, "See, I'm just wild like that, everybody. I'm just funny." And you're like, "You're not. I mean, what? You know, you're just famous for being famous." Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's best to end that line on him because he's like the characterization, the like real life version of all of this. I think.
I think so too. Yeah. Ooh, that's right. Just things that we as a culture should probably like toss in the bin. Just go donate this, throw this away. But we don't. We're all just like, what's he gonna do now? Gonna fight 2 guys at one time? That's something. That's how you know you had an easy childhood. You go, dang dude, I'm in shape. I'm rich. I'm famous. Mansions, Florida, California, Puerto Rico, cars, women, the boys. I need concussions. That's how you know that oh gosh. But all that to say is as divisive as some stuff is, as stupid as some stuff is, he does that thing where he always makes it poignant and like hard to swallow. And the gift shop at the gun range, the mass shooting at the mall, those are things it's like, yeah, we should all maybe kind of be like, oh yeah, we don't like that. Oh, let's be done with that now.
Yeah, it gets very real very quickly after the line that ends with Logan Paul.
Yeah, it does.
And it's almost like he's saying like, you see how there's some confusion, that he's saying that like, you put a gift shop in the gun range.
Yeah. Huh, yeah. That's funny. And even if it's like just a lyric, not a fully fleshed out idea, it is interesting that it rhymes so perfectly with the line before it, and there's so much symmetry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because gun ranges ought to be able to make money some other way. Like, I don't know, imagine being doing merch at a gun range.
And like social media and stuff.
Yeah.
It's weird.
You know what's funny? There's that one in outside of LA somewhere where a lot of like celebrities go and they do target practice, and it's like a big thing. They always post about it. I'll admit I've never seen Bo Burnham at something like that.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people.
I've never seen this. Is there like videos?
Yeah.
On YouTube?
It looks insane. It, like from the perspective that they always film it from, it looks like there's targets everywhere, and the camera, the viewer, to me, can't distinguish them. It's just like browns and rusts and metals and stuff, and just like, what? How do you know what you're even aiming for?
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I would do it. I would go and do the seminar on safety and then do it, but yeah, it is odd to be like, like you said, they could sell bullets, or they could charge to let people go, but then also they're like, go and also wear shirts around town.
Yeah. Yikes.
Well, we could get back to the chorus.
Yeah, let's do it.
Darn.
Yeah, it's not much different from the previous chorus, but it works really well for repeating since he's kind of talking about this thing that keeps coming back.
Yeah, it does. And I'm not really sure if the audio recording and the video recording are the same take.
Yeah. I could see him being really good at making that unclear, like just being able to kind of mime or line up a take with a more refined audio take.
But then again, his roots are doing stuff all in one take.
Yeah.
And it appears, at least the performance, like the video is one take, it's that very, very slow zoom. You're not sure it's zooming at first. And to me, that's awesome. And yeah, I would think you don't want too much going on if you're gonna do it all in one take. But I love it. I like the way the chords are so simple. The first half of each verse, they change for the second half of the verse, and then the chorus is totally different chords, but they're all like right there in that same neighborhood.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you feel like a totally different, like transported to the chorus. It just kind of goes seamlessly from the end of the verse to the chorus.
Right, but it's not just like using the same chords, the same order of chords.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. think he's always been a good songwriter, and now is just better than he's ever been at it.
I agree. Yeah, man, I'm worried. I know he's special. He's one of a kind. He might be the G word. We say the G word out here sometimes, but he very well could be a genius at the thing he's devoted his life to. But I just sometimes, like, there have been, oh man, let me think. His last 2 full specials, like, they were recorded live with an audience. I remember when they were done being like, how is he gonna top that?
Yeah.
Like the one, I think it was What, where he did where he mimed, like he was playing a sampler on stage. He would reach to different parts, and then they all said something. Then he remixed them live, and he's like punching different areas and pointing different places. And then the next one, Make Funny, was the Kanye rant.
Oh yeah, with the auto tune.
Yeah.
I think it's Make Happy though.
Maybe it's Make Happy. Yeah. Words. What? Make Happy.
I think so.
Yeah, Make Happy, and then Inside. And to me, Inside, I'm like, well, are you done? I mean, because I'm just wondering, how do you top something like that?
I know. I thought he was kind of done with this kind of thing. I think he did too. After Make Happy, he even kind of leaves it as if he's like walking away from the keyboard.
Oh yeah, he does.
So I thought he would just kind of work on making movies. And 8th Grade is great, and that would be cool. You just work with people and make movies. They seem to love it. But I also want another special. Like, it's so much to ask from this guy who's being like, he's trying to make all these points about how we lift up people exactly like him. So it's a high expectation. But
yeah, I wonder if he is one of the celebrities that feels like kind of a hypocrite at times. Like, my fans like me because I'm not vapid and I don't take 100+ selfies a day, and I'm not showing off my body. And the older I get, the more work I have done, the lower the neckline. I'm not one of those kind of celebrities who are just like on reality TV threatening to fight somebody. I'm like a real talent. And then does he feel bad thinking that? And does he feel like, oh man, that's probably what a lot of people think. I shouldn't think that because I'm very privileged to be where I am.
Right.
Oh gosh, yeah. And
yeah,
that verse to me is just not nearly as fun. I mean, I think that's obvious because like the topics in it, but also they're not like linked in, plugged in, and hooked like a Bo Burnham like verse or piece could be, because he talks about stuff like this often, and it doesn't feel like this. Like he can usually make it funny and or fun.
Yeah, it seems like he purposely didn't want this part to be fun.
I think so.
So that could be what connects all of these things together.
Yeah.
But there is some separation too in the first part and in the second part, I think. Like the first part feels mostly like things to like pass the time. And I think about this going for a drive and obeying the traffic laws in Grand Theft Auto 5 line a lot. Because, going for a drive kind of like takes him out of his like trapped in a room energy. But he could just be talking about it in Grand Theft Auto 5, and probably is. But I know that like going for a drive is relaxing for me in a way that like playing video games isn't, and that both are good for passing time. If you are supposed to be quarantined.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you're saying they could be read like in parallel. They could be read as an idea and another idea, or one idea.
Yeah, and I'm not sure which.
Yeah, because most things have been contained in a line, and this thing is two things, but I think, yeah, like, to me, they're obviously one thing. Going for a drive and obeying all the traffic laws.
Yeah.
But it could just be a list, you know. It could be this thing, and this thing. So it's not a wild reading what you're saying, but to me, it connects with the first part of that verse. Like, I joked earlier, if you don't have like a smartphone and a wearable and another thing, and like, you know, the voice command things at your house, that there's something wrong with you by today's standards. Like, these are like personality tests. Like, do you even know where to find the terms of service? Have you ever, for more than 10 seconds to see what it's like to be funny, obey the traffic laws in Grand Theft Auto 5, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I like those two things, and I like the way he sings them, and then it just, I don't know. Because to me, they're not related to agoraphobic, losing focus, cover blown. Those are just, I don't know, other things that, I guess he was thinking about other things that tie into Inside, maybe, the album.
Yeah, and then a book on getting better hand delivered by a drone is kind of another example, like a meditation app, you know, like, and just like probably a very real example, you know, it's probably, you know, I don't think there's drones around here delivering packages, but there are parts of the country where drones are already delivering packages.
Yeah.
And books, and ironic books. And, yeah, this verse is a lot sadder, and kind of reminds me, because he gives us like some dictionary terms, of like, gerunds, which I think we mentioned about Burnham when we did the gerunds episode.
Like, you're right, yeah. I know, I was kind of thinking that same thing. Like, derealization. It's like, alright, dude, will you settle down? But there's some things he talks about, he says that, and disassociation, I'm pretty sure, in Problematic, another song on this album. So he really, and I like that. I truly like when an album is like, has callbacks and motifs, and you go through an album and you're like, I think pretty sure I just heard that in another song, blah, blah, blah. Because, I don't know, that's neat, and that's how a lot of things are. Like if a movie did that, you wouldn't think anything of it. You'd be like, yup, movie. This is all here. You know, or if a show did that, and by the way, if a show is like previously on, and they show you something from last season or 6 episodes ago, it's like, oh, I wonder why they showed me that, you know? And I think that kind of stuff is cool, you know, as a fan, to be like, oh, there's that vocabulary again. That's interesting.
Yeah, he did a lot of connecting this album to itself.
Yeah, he did.
That I really enjoyed.
Yeah, he did. Big time. Yeah, man. Me too.
And then this verse ends with the quiet comprehending of the ending of it all.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some interesting lyrics that suggest like stuff like that. The inapparent summer air in early fall, and then in the verse 2 verses ago, whichever, the whole world at your fingertips, ocean at your door, that kind of stuff. It's like, which is interesting. To think like there's some people are really focused, like really pigeonholed. Like, my one thing is climate change, or my one thing is overpopulation, or my one thing is food crisis or water crisis. But he's just like, it's, you know, we don't have that much longer. 7 years to go or whatever, and the ocean's coming in, then the quiet comprehending of the ending of it all. Man, it's just, it's interesting. And I think, again, like, I wonder if he feels hypocritical, being like, this, like, empire's over, or whatever. And then also, like, the time of people being paid lots of money to entertain people, if that whole thing is a job, that's pathetic. Our culture is doomed, but also, like,
yeah, also please clap.
Yeah.
And you know, buy this on vinyl and DVD.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, are we back to the chorus already?
Yeah, we are.
Yes.
Let's hear it. There it is again, that funny feeling, that funny feeling. There it is again, that funny feeling, that funny feeling. Hey.
Nice. Yeah. It's such a good chorus. Like, I like the melody. I like how gentle it is and how the feeling each, like, gosh, the third, that funny feeling, no, the second, that funny feeling, and the fourth, that funny feeling, I have that neat little like step down, the neat little run down. Yeah, it's just a fun one to sing, and it's not, like you said, it's not super theatrical like some of his other stuff, so you feel like it's just a like easy strumming, easy singing kind of song.
Yeah. Yeah, from all the complicated stuff that he does on this album and in all of his music, and just as a piano player, watching Inside, this is the one that I was like, I wonder if I can play that. And kind of learned a version of it, just because I wanted to like sing it, which kind of brings up an interesting idea. He's never really done like a musical tour where he'll like play his hits or anything. It's always like a special that's unique that I imagine he tours. But I just had an image of like him doing this song live, and people singing along to it.
Oh yeah, whoa. Wait, who's the singer-songwriter that covered this song after it came out?
Phoebe Bridgers.
Did you see where they might be rumored to be dating?
Wow, no. I saw he like went and saw it live. Saw her sing his song live.
Yeah, that's so
interesting.
Cool. Yeah, that was weird. That was a weird, surreal thing. It was not a good seat. They're just like a dude videoing it, and the dude like shows Burnham. He's like enjoying it. He was like a little bit like taking it in, like, oh, that's that's a good, because right there is, oh, that's nice. And then, but again, they were like at the back of wherever they were.
Yeah.
So far away. It was really odd.
I know. I wonder if he like had to be kind of discreet or incognito or something. And also, it kind of seemed like he didn't really appreciate being filmed. Like he was just like, didn't know what to do.
A little bit, yeah. But that is odd. I mean, I don't know, maybe this is my own bias, but is he a bigger star than her? Couldn't he just like slink up to the side door and then people be like, yes? Like, yeah, just you recognize me? Yeah. And I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Whatever. But in typical Bo Burnham thing, I think he has a love-hate relationship with pop music or melodies or just like the magic of music. And so he loves to do things that are like in Pandering, which I mentioned too many times out. He says he asks if the audience wants a key change,
Yeah.
because he knows that has an effect on like we're mammals, so we go, ooh, different energy, or repeat stuff. He knows like love songs are pointless and vague and corny and nondescript, and then if you can't figure it out, just repeat stuff. And to me, the outro of this is like that. It's like it's catchy, it's fun, it's even more so like sing along kind of, but it is like he always does. Is like, I don't know, like demented almost.
Yeah.
It's really, I don't know. That's the fun of it to me, and the beauty of it to me. To be like you. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I realize that I'm sick actually. Because like I talk about examples where someone mistakes a song for one thing, and the songwriter is making fun of you, the audience member,
purposely tricking you.
Yeah, and that's what this is, and that's maybe why I like it.
Yeah. That's definitely what this outro is, and it's about a minute long. But
wow.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, let's just do it. Cool.
Yeah, no, that the outro is what makes me really think this is a parody of this kind of music. But it's so interesting to do. it's kind of like a Weird Al thing to do a parody, but just like do a really good song at the same time.
Yep, you're right.
Because it just sounds so good, but he starts to really kind of ham it up with the but-ums, and the yes.
And he does that thing too where he gets bored of singing his own melody.
Yeah.
You know, there's one special, I can't remember which one, where he really resents having, like you said, toured it for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell in the recording, he phones it in, he'll like leer at the crowd, and he'll like monotone across a whole line, you know?
Yeah.
And I think one of these is, it'll be over soon, you wait is like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same note the whole time. He like almost does a thing where he like run out of breath, but he does it kind of on purpose.
Yeah, it's almost like he's making fun of himself.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he is the kind of person that's so like twisted and insecure in his own head that it's like if he does it, he's like, is it funny? And it's like, yeah, but it's funnier to be serious when you do it. Yeah, I know, because then you're like outside of yourself and you get to enjoy how funny it is that somebody did that and they were serious.
Yeah.
And then he can't do it. He can't, like, he has to make fun of himself. Yeah, but yeah, I like the outro. It's cool to me that it's a minute and that it fades out and trails off.
Yeah,
and then he just
the slow fade.
Mm-hmm. And he says like, you know, all these things like this is the case for we're overdue. Like we allowed all these things, encouraged, lauded, and applauded these things, and then we're like, you know, whatever happens. I mean, it's like,
yeah, but it'll be over soon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a theme that I notice a lot. I think in the content I consume is just like, hey, we're on the way downhill. What are you gonna do? You know, enjoy one last grift before the end, or get everything you can. You know, while the empire is being sliced up.
Yeah.
And by the way, I hope I'm wrong, but it's tough. Like I said, maybe my worldview's shifted or skewed because of that kind of stuff. But I'm like, wow, there's some things people make really good points.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, this one was my pick because I just like this, and to me, it's the perfect the last song of the year and the last song of like a weird coupled together holiday series.
Yeah.
And to me, even though this whole special is kind of about 2020 and 2021, I mean, do we think things have gotten better? Like it's still in a lot of ways describes where we're at now.
Yeah.
About to be 2023.
Yeah, it almost feels like more plastic and phony as like television and media like normalizes or gets closer back to what it was before they were having to all record in separate rooms and stuff. It almost feels like now we can see what you were doing, and we're still gonna watch. I guess. Yeah. It's a lot, but you picked the songs. Do you want to pick who goes first, or do you want to go first?
Gosh, I think why don't you go first? Be ready.
So it's obviously like just him and guitar. Seems like one guitar take, and a crackling fire. So it appears to be a ballad. It's very soft. Both his voice and like a very clean guitar, acoustic guitar. Kind of slow, folky strumming. But he's addressing like I think some of the like mental issues that he and other people deal with, and he's addressing how kind of phony entertainment has become, and how so many people buy into that phoniness. And of course, this whole album is about kind of being quarantined in a pandemic era. So all of that stuff is kind of put under the magnifying glass. Like, it was all we had was to sit at home and consume. We could choose to put on Jimmy Fallon or watch Logan Paul's YouTube videos, or read good literature and learn an instrument. We all made those decisions without much judgment or in other people's outside perspective, and so he has this like Deadpool self-awareness of himself, and probably the fact that him singing about this is all ironic because us watching his Inside Netflix special like pays his bills. So all that mental struggle and his issues with kind of phony Hollywood nonsense, and I think a correlation between those two things that he's trying to make, for me, makes it a struggle that he has internally that he thinks is kind of a product of the time, in the way that all this is kind of created, and there's endless options for it, just to kind of keep us with our heads down. So because of all the charged ideas and divisive things that he mentions, and kind of making light of how pointless some of those divisive things are, it's kind of a protest song, kind of speaking against this kind of consumption, and I don't know, letting them like keep our heads down. So I think he's using this parody to make it seem like a sweet ballad that sounds really good, and kind of makes you feel contemplative and almost nostalgic, even though he's mentioning very modern things, but he's kind of made a protest song under the guise of like a sweet folk song. So I think it's a fine song.
Whoa, okay, cool. Dang, yeah, maybe I tipped my hand earlier, on accident, or I didn't mean to. I was just kind of like thinking through it or trying to review it, but I definitely take all that in. Like, I considered those things, like why he would do it and it'd be sarcastic, and why there'd be some little things I said about the first verse that take you out of it. Like, you're in the song and you're like, you just say, that's weird, like Robert Iger's face. It's just like so strange. Or like stuff in the first verse, like the meditation app and it's half off at the Gap and stuff. Like, huh? Like, I thought we were at a campfire, now we're talking like commerce. By the way, when's the last time you went to the Gap? And just with stuff like that, it gets you like thinking about other stuff.
Who goes there anymore?
Yeah, Gap. I was thinking, like, in a way, what I said about the chorus might be true, that it's like wouldn't you almost rather like know that it was ending and know that you were one of the smart ones, and would you rather be a smart, aware, critical person, or just like a hot idiot? That like old thing, like, would you rather if you could pick? and my decision was made for me, unfortunately. But okay, but and a lot of us it was made for us. But what I think there's something to it. Like there it is again, that funny feeling. The way he's so delicately approaches those lyrics and just he doesn't say one way or the other. He does call the feeling funny, but he just like there it is, like a familiarity, like noted, or I noticed it, or I am addressing it. Maybe it's like a little bit of like a therapy tactic or something to be like, there's that feeling. I'm feeling that feeling. I don't know much about that, but I'm just saying that I've heard people talk about that.
Yeah.
And then I also, on the outro, like, hey, what can you say? We were overdue, but it'll be over soon. It's almost like, it's very pessimistic, but it's also apathetic. But it's hard to hold both at one time, because apathy, you can't be negative or positive. You have no feeling, you have no emotion about it one way or the other. But it's like, what can you say? We were overdue, but it'll be over soon. To me, it's almost like a love song to like being trapped in your own mind, like a love song to your own imagination or your own personality, your own bias, and then just being like, there's something to be said for being like raising your hand and be like, well, I knew that all this was wrong, and in a way I'm brave enough to admit I could have done more, but I tried some things. I don't know. I think it is a parody, but I just don't know enough about his songwriting process to know why this song turned out the way it turned out. Like he could have done it so many other ways, I think, but who knows? But I just think the way he approaches the chorus, the way he sings it, the tempo and the instrumentation, I think it's a love song overall, but I'm kind of struggling exactly to put my finger on what, because I don't know what I said about being comfortable in your discomfort, or being just, I don't know, maybe he's familiar, maybe he's always known that he was critical of stuff and different, or wanted more or something. Maybe even that, maybe it's that simple. Like, as a kid, I knew I wanted more than just like breakfast cereal and like cartoons and whatever else all my other friends wanted,
Yeah.
like, Monday night sports, Tuesday night dramas, Wednesday night reality shows. Like, I just was like, I mean, I don't know, but overall, I think it's a love song.
Cool. Like being able to appreciate seeing that it's funny, maybe.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah.
Cool. I like that.
Well, thank you.
I find this is where we differ often, is where like a song will sound like a ballad, and certainly most of those I would think are love songs, but there's certain topics and struggles that for me, just the like subject matter is reason enough to make a conflict enough, I think.
Thanks.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear what y'all think.
We definitely would. And Happy New Year, and hopefully this is like a nice ending to a holiday season. Hope it's better.
Yeah, certainly. Thank y'all so much for listening. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, of course.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
We'll talk to y'all again next week.